YouTube world, YouTube boxing world, should I say? What's happening? What's the deal? What's going on? What's going on lately in the boxing community, boxing world? A little bit of everything. So let me just talk about a little bit of everything. If you're new to the channel, Boxing After Dark, I'm your host, Nocturnal Thoughts. If you're new, go ahead, click the subscribe button, notification bell, leave me a thumbs up in the comment. Bow, I appreciate you. Um, right now, just a little bit of everything going on in the boxing world. Some stuff starting to percolate. Danny Garcia, Earl Spence. We still trying to figure out who Terrence Bud Crawford's going to fight. Terrence Bud Crawford is going to fight. And I'm just hearing recently that Shawn Porter has become the mandatory fighter for Terrence Bud Crawford. Let me just share my thoughts on Terrence Bud Crawford versus Shawn Showtime Porter. What that fight looks like, in my opinion, from Nocturnal Thoughts. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't think that that will be a good fight, in my honest opinion. We've seen both Terrence Bud Crawford and Shawn Porter highly exclaim, adamantly exclaim, that they did not want to fight each other for whatever reasons. They say it's based off of their friendship. Shawn Porter said they always had an agreement that they would never fight each other unless it was under their circumstances. They would not let anybody force them, dictate them into going into battle with each other. No fans, no promoters, no trainers. Kenny Porter, Bomac, nobody would be able to tell them that they had to fight each other besides them coming to an agreement as friends. When it made sense for them to fight, then they might fight each other. They said at first it happened where they weren't even in the same weight division, so it wasn't even an issue. But then once Terrence Bud Crawford started to look like he was going to come into the welterweight division, they had a gentleman's agreement, a friendship, a bond that they said they would never fight each other unless they decided to. So we all know how that story unfolded to where they were on a collision course after Shawn Porter fought Errol Spence and put on a good performance. He came up short, but he put on a very good performance and made a case for himself. Terrence Bud Crawford really didn't have anybody else to fight, especially after he made work out of Agitas Kovaluskas. Now, the only thing that logically made sense was Terrence Bud Crawford and Shawn Porter should fight. You know, I started seeing a lot of YouTube channels, supporters of Terrence Bud Crawford, and certain people that are not supporters of Terrence Bud Crawford, but it seemed like they both could agree that Terrence Bud Crawford should fight Shawn Porter if he couldn't get the fight with Errol Spence. And now they're saying that Shawn Porter is his mandatory. It looked like before that, you know, like I say, Shawn Porter is the litmus test. He is the truth machine. He takes his pound of flesh. You know what I'm saying? He's going to come and see how much metal that you have. My only problem with Shawn Porter fighting Terrence Bud Crawford is I honestly don't think that you're going to get, or I honestly think that you won't get the same Shawn Porter that you saw against Errol Spence Jr. You're going to get a different variation, a different version of Shawn Porter, a little bit more of a watered down Shawn Porter. He's not going to Shawn Porter. He's going to come to put on a show. He's going to come to win, but he's not going to be the Shawn Porter that he had to become to fight Errol Spence Jr. Now, I know some people might say Shawn Porter is a gladiator, a warrior. he's going to come up to fight to win no matter who he's facing. I get that. I salute that. I respect that. And I somewhat agree. But with all honesty, if I fight a stranger in protecting my family, my mentality is different if I'm fighting a brother through sibling rivalry. Period. Even if I fight my brother and I'm still trying to win, there's still something in me that's not going to allow myself to go into the mental um, tunnels that I have to go through to fight someone that's an adversary, someone that's an enemy, someone that's I don't necessarily have any kind of connection, relationship, or friendship to. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, the way Shawn Porter and Terrell Spence, the way Shawn Porter and Terrence Bud Crawford has talked up to this point, it just leads me to believe that their friendship would jeopardize the integrity of them having a real fight. It would be more of an exhibition fight. It'll be more like two friends fighting or two brothers that's fighting in sibling rivalry. You know what I'm saying? Shawn Porter is not going to go in for the kill. Shawn Porter, you know what I'm saying? Because there's two different versions of Shawn Porter. One is the Shawn Porter that you see when he was fighting Andre Berto. You know what I'm saying? One is the version you saw when he was fighting Paulie Malignaggi. You know, one is that hungry, ferocious Mike Tyson-esque type of Shawn Porter. Rough, rugged, dirty, headbutts, elbows, anything necessary to get the job done. Very aggressive and mauls you and brawls you and overwhelms you to the point of your defeat. That's the Shawn Porter that we saw against Errol Spence Jr., even on a higher elevated level, because I think there was some animosity between Shawn Porter and Errol Spence, because I feel like Shawn Porter is like a daddy's boy, and Kenny Porter spoke so highly of Errol Spence that it looked like Shawn Porter always took a negative slight to that and wanted to show his dad that I can beat this guy that you admire so much. And he trained harder and he fought harder than we seen Shawn Porter fight. There's another side of Shawn Porter, and that's the Shawn Porter that cleans up his act, that tries to be tactical, that tries to box cleanly and use skill, not just will, not just power, not just a rough, tough Shawn Porter, but a Shawn Porter that's working behind a jab, a Shawn Porter that's, very tactical, a Shawn Porter versus Sebastian Formella, a Shawn Porter versus a Udenis Ugas. That Shawn Porter, he came to fight to win, but he also was like sharpening up his tools. He was working on new things. He was trying to be clean and tactical and trying to be a boxer when he's not genetically, he's not naturally a boxer. He's a brawler slash hybrid version of a boxer that's developing his style as he keeps going in his career. He gets better and better. He adds wrinkles, but at his core, he's a mauler. He's a brawler. He's a fighter, not a skill set boxer. So when he fights Udenis Ugas and he tries to go into his skill set and fight Udenis Ugas, he doesn't look that well. He doesn't perform that well, and he doesn't break his opponent down and beat him down into a pulp in the corner. When he fought Sebastian Formella, the old Shawn Porter would have beat and broke Sebastian Formella down and broke him down in 7 rounds, period. But the new Shawn Porter that's trying to fight clean and add the wrinkles and add the skills, you know what I'm saying? Sebastian Formella went 12 rounds without ever touching the canvas, right? And that's an ops. That's not even a friend. So if Shawn Porter fights, and forgive my air conditioner for kicking on, if Shawn Porter fights a Terrence Bud Crawford who's like his friend who didn't really even want to fight, what version are you going to get? I'm telling you, you're going to get a version that's a lot more closer to a friendly exhibition a lot more closer to I'm fighting to develop my skills, and it's going to be a Sebastian Formella performance. It's going to be, put it like this: Terrence Bud Crawford is going to fight like he fought Agitas Kovalevskis, and Shawn Porter's going to fight like he just fought Sebastian Formella. Those two guys meet in the ring. They're going to have a friendly bout, and we're really going to be left with no answers of who was the better fighter, no matter who wins. You know what I'm saying? If they fight, I don't. It'll be competitive, and to the regular eye, you're going to see some good action. It's going to be action packed. It's going to be some ebbs and flows and back and forth, but it's not going to be a killer mentality. It'll be like, I want to win because I'm a winner and I'm a champion, but it's not going to be that killer instinct that you see from Terrence Bud Crawford or Shawn Porter. And I think that fight would somewhat be anticlimactic. I don't think we would get what we want to get from Shawn Porter fighting Terrence Bud Crawford. And what we should get from Shawn Porter fighting Terrence Bud Crawford is really that litmus test of seeing what Terrence Bud Crawford really does in the welterweight division before he goes on to fight Errol Spence the Truth. That's all I got for y'all in this video. If you're new to the channel, come on back. Hit the notification, hit the subscribe button, the notification, and the thumbs up. Leave me a comment, and I'm going to keep them coming for y'all because I really appreciate y'all time. I really appreciate y'all comments, and I appreciate y'all subscriptions. This is Nocturnal Thoughts, Boxing After Dark. I salute you. I'm out.